Trump's cutting SNAP benefits. Here's why that might save black families. For decades, welfare rewarded single motherhood. You got more money without a man in the house. This pushed black fathers out, destroyed the nuclear family. Now, women will have to choose partners who can provide, not the government. No safety net means better vetting, stronger men, stable homes. When survival depends on partnership, you pick better partners. The welfare state broke us. Time to rebuild from strength, not dependency.
The government shutdown is over. But what kind of damage did it leave behind, especially for people with chronic illnesses? I'm Rosemarie Havsom. I'm back again to let you know that you can take control of your life by what you choose to put at the end of your fork. So let's get into it. So by now, everybody's heard about the government shutdown and how it impacted people all across the United States. But what we didn't really hear very much about was the impact on people with chronic illnesses, particularly people with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and high cholesterol. If we look at these four groups, we can see that there would be an absolutely unrelenting impact from being cut off from SNAP benefits, which is the supplemental nutrition assistance program. The problem that the new administration saw with those kind of benefits is, number one, they wanted to cut back on the amount of junk that people could buy when they're using their EBT cards or other SNAP benefits. And we've seen so many examples of women in particular taking advantage of using EBT cards or SNAP benefits to buy complete garbage to put into their homes and in their kitchens.
Let's watch the video together.
We got one of them did it. We got chicken wings, peaches, Welch juices. Got 2 cases of these. A box of Sam's grain chips. Say that bit over. They got these chips. Cinnamon toe crunch. Ballpark hot dogs. Some teriyaki noodles. Some kind of different. A pack of ground beef. Packets on the sticks. Seasoning salt. Pickles. Powdered donuts.
Those. Please.
Fruity pebbles. The teriyaki noodles, I eat those. These are the best. These are the best. Pineapples.
This only is adding to the crisis of chronic illness in the United States. And in America right now, we're seeing more and more Black Americans who are at the forefront of who is coming down with and developing chronic illnesses. So as we've seen from some of these clips of people with their food holes based on their EBT and SNAP benefits, we're seeing that they're filling their carts, their grocery carts, with just pure ultra-processed food and other garbage foods. And the unfortunate thing is that they're contributing to their own illness. Now, some people might argue it's all about lack of education and that people don't really know what nutrition is all about. Now, RFK Jr. did say that he wanted to get the handle on making America healthy again by looking at the original purpose of SNAP. It's supposed to be a supplementary nutrition program. It's supposed to help people get healthy. It wasn't meant for people to be buying junk food and candy and other sugary foods and desserts and everything under the sun that's called ultra processed. But when we look at what happened during the government shutdown and people who are in danger of losing their benefits, and now after the shutdown is over, they're still in danger of losing some of those benefits because of the overhaul as to what is allowed and what's not allowed as far as what kind of food can be purchased using SNAP benefits. And in particular, we see people who are type 2 diabetic, who need to eat on a regular basis, and having their SNAP benefits reduced or cut or even interrupted is very detrimental and even dangerous for some of those people. But let's take a look at what happens with chronic illness, because the message does not seem to be getting received. And we've seen it here on this channel. Let's face it, a lot of people that are watching this platform are not interested in health. And how do we know that? Because of the amount of views. People don't really seem to be that bothered about chemicals being in our foods, about ultra-processed foods giving people cancer, or at least making them more at risk for cancer. And now when it comes to SNAP benefits, there's a trickle-down effect, because it's not just for people who are at the low economic spectrum of society. We're seeing that even people considered middle class or upper middle class are suffering from preventable chronic illnesses because of the foods they're choosing to eat. Now, if we look back at people with chronic illnesses, slow erosion of your vitality, your independence, and your quality of life, it's not ever going to be something that's alarming to say, oh, the red flags are being raised and you can't eat this and you can't eat that. It's usually something that's very subtle, and over time just becomes worse and worse. In particular, with type 2 diabetes, it may start off with, oh, now you're going to have to go on to medication, but you can still manage your symptoms and still try to follow a healthy diet. But if you fall off that plan, what is that doing to your health? All of a sudden, even with medication, you're no longer able to do the things that were easy for you to do before being diagnosed. This can have so many impacts that people with chronic illnesses don't seem to recognize enough. And that is, it affects everything. It affects your cognitive thinking. It affects your decisions that you're making. And it affects you continuing to feed this chronic disease with the poor nutritional foods that you're choosing. It's also stealing away your youthfulness and your vitality. So maybe the motivation is not even present anymore to go and exercise to alleviate the symptoms of type 2 diabetes. Maybe you're not even thinking about, if your blood sugar drops, maybe I can eat a piece of fruit or have a bit of juice instead of reaching for candy and other ultra-processed foods. The other part of it is that the suffering that's going to go on down the road, whether that is blindness, amputation of extremities due to poor circulation, heart disease, cancer, other serious illnesses and issues come about from being a type 2 diabetic. And not enough is being done to recognize that. The issue with chronic illness is that when access to food is being reduced or cut, such as what's being proposed with redoing the SNAP benefits, then we have people who are more vulnerable to increasing their risk for other life-altering illnesses and diseases. And what puts you at risk for chronic illness? Lack of exercise, poor nutrition, smoking, and drinking excess alcohol. These are all conditions that we can control to some extent, but the fallout from the government shutdown should be looked at even closer, because vulnerable people who have a chronic illness are going to be affected more deeply than those who are just balling and just flexing because they can do a huge, overly indulgent EBT or SNAP benefit grocery haul. These are some of the things we need to look at. Your life changes when you develop a chronic illness, and managing your symptoms may not be enough to prevent you from losing the vitality and the spark of who you are. That goes for sexual health, for other physical health, for mental health, for spiritual health. All of these are affected when you develop a chronic illness, and these are preventable. So what do you think about the government shutdown? Who do you think it hurt the most? Comment that down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And also remember that I too have a YouTube channel that's Havsom, spelled H-A-V for Victor, S-O-M for Mother, where we can continue the conversation there. And also let me know, what are some of the topics you want to have covered when it comes to your health? I'm Rosemarie Havsom. To your good health. Bye-bye.